Everybody thinks that they're a designer. Your clients, your bosses, your colleagues. But when the project all goes to hell and turns into a flaming bag of crap, they all point back at you. Congratulations, you are now the designer again. In this episode of the Angry Designer Podcast, powered by Wix Studio, we're unpacking the designer identity crisis. When tools and templates and titles make everybody feel like they're a designer, but so few actually design. This isn't about bad clients or bosses or bad advice. It's about the blurred line between design thinking and just thinking you're a designer. But what if the biggest challenge to designers isn't actually technology or graphic services, but confidence without competence? What happens when you've been designing for years, but you've actually stopped thinking like a designer? Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, Anger Management for Designers, where the information hits harder than bad feedback on a Friday night. Let's go! Week 2 of beer. What I've realized is I'm going to have to take up IPAs.
What? Did you want to trade?
No. This one, yours is the coolest can
this
ever.
Is awesome.
You got to look at this. It's like a Space Invaders can. Is that not the coolest? Yeah. Oh no, it doesn't. Remember?
Yeah.
They're focused. You have to hold it back here.
I got to do it. That's right. I got to do it here.
Yeah, because the IPAs
Very cool.
are much cooler.
They are, right? Maybe that's why I gravitate to them.
I don't know. Because, I just got a boring lager. And it was cute. It was like Beyond the Pale. And it's like the Daily Pilsner newspaper.
Cute.
Not as
Pilsner. Cheers.
I don't know. I thought something different here.
Well, now you got me thinking maybe.
See? Oh, and that's really good. Yours is good too?
Yeah. But it's an IPA. I kind of know.
I know. All right. I'm kind of digging this whole beer angle thing.
Yeah.
You know, this has been a pretty fun day.
Despite the technical difficulties that you had with saving
easy.
Illustrator files.
So, literally, it felt like from the moment I came in, I felt like I was trying to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel really bad because I walked into the office. How
hilarious.
fucked up. So I walk in to give you guys some concepts. I was a seagull manager this morning. I flew in and I shit all over some employees, but in the nicest way possible. And then I flew away. But I walk in, I had my bag and everything. Hey, everybody, what? And then I see them working on a site that I knew was critical to have a page up by Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, shit, what are you guys doing? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. We're just showing them, 2 different concepts because, client liked this layout. So now we just want to give them options. And the problem is both options, in essence, were the same. And what I mean by this is they looked different and they were trying to find style ways to make them different, but neither was actually solving any of the problems on the page.
Mm-hmm.
But everything from content flow, right? Like there was this one picture, it's a great picture. Nobody knew what it was. So we had to add a second element to it to make it a little bit more connect the dots.
Right.
There was this other section that showed a whole ecosystem, with 4 components to it, but they were only showing one component to this 4-part ecosystem. It was like, well, let's maybe make it animated, and as you select on one, then the description comes. So I was giving a completely second set of options to the customer that actually solved these problems, like ecosystem had more. This other thing was, you didn't know what it was, right? And the thing is, it's like they were spending time, making them look different.
Right.
But neither were really solving the problems.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's what caught me off guard on this one. Right. And what I realized is, this is a common theme that I think I'm seeing a lot of, right?
Right.
And I felt like that, that boss who just kind of goes in and chirps, and gives, because literally I just went in there and, okay, granted, I might have a little bit more experience, but we even had, we had a listener, go in and say, she sent us a message that her boss, who absolutely has no design experience, no sense of design, right?
Wow, okay.
And was basically telling her how to do her job, how to design, how to fix things up. And the problem is, when she was giving her opinions on it, right? Because she was a strong opinion, which is, hey,
okay, that's
I built a career being a strong opinionated designer.
Yes.
You just got to know how to do it. But when she gave her opinion,
right,
and the boss realized his idea didn't work, instead of admitting that, okay, I didn't know what I was doing,
Right.
he was basically pointing the finger at her, being like, well,
Throwing
you're
her under
difficult
the
to work with.
Oh,
Yeah, right. And this is that whole thing where it's like, he thought he was a designer. He thought he could, do things, and he can't. And this is a common theme that we're seeing, right? And then, of course, when the designer does come in to rescue the day, they're not actually rescuing anything.
No.
They're deemed to be difficult, right?
Right.
So this is that whole idea that, everybody seems to think that they're fucking designers until they're not. And this is where, we're constantly being caught, whether it's customers, whether it's, internally, externally, oftentimes even in an agency setting.
Yeah.
Right. People who aren't designers think they're designers and give designers advice, which I know kills.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just, it's toxic, but maybe it's not meant to be toxic. But I think that's what I want to talk about today is this whole notion that, everybody thinks they're a designer, but so few actually design. Right.
I see what you're saying.
See where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
This is a little convoluted, but it's, I think
it's so what you're saying, basically, it's not just the clients and it's not just the shitty boss.
Well, I think the problem is quite much bigger than we think.
Yes,
and
sometimes it could be us,
and it involves everything. I mean, okay. Well, let's face it. The world right now is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
AI makes everybody think that they can design. Okay, which is ridiculous, right? Fucking somebody's got Canva. They think they're a fucking designer, right? Somebody with a laptop, and they're like,
somebody with a cousin,
somebody with a kid who took art class. Everybody's a fucking designer, right? And the problem is, the technology has really democratized, design tools to the point where now anybody can use them.
Everybody has them. Anybody can use them.
Right.
Think they could use them.
Yes. And that's it, right?
Right.
It's giving people this whole false sense of what design actually is.
Right.
And, how hard it is to consistently keep telling people just because you made something look good.
Look nice.
So it doesn't look like it's from fucking Microsoft Paint, 1998. It doesn't mean that you're a designer.
Yes.
You made something look good, right?
You could be an artist. Maybe you're an artist.
Right? Not far from that, right? But again, it's what's making people think that they can do what we do just because they focus on that end craft, that end product, which is, I think, the challenge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
With that being said, it's giving people this false sense of ability. Okay? And this is
that's good.
Hear me out, okay? And hey, my daughters are guilty of this, right? They will open up an app on their phone and they will start adding in a sticker button here, a little flashing icon there. They'll add a title, this, that. So then when I'm like, dude, how do you do this? And I'm trying to do it on our Instagram. They're like, and I thought you were a designer. I'm just like, whoa, Picasso. But it's true, right? People now have all these new choices to make, from, the clothes that they wear, the shows that they watch, and on a high level. But then when you get more, minutia here, between their social apps, between their work apps, they're having more options to make things look pretty.
Right.
Okay. And so now that people think that they can make things look pretty, which oftentimes it's not. Okay, we've seen PowerPoint decks where they think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're not, right? So they think that they can do it, which now makes them have this false design sense.
Right.
Okay, and they think design is now what they're doing, and that's what they are.
Right.
So right off the bat, they're like knocking us down a notch, right? By saying, oh, Sean's been doing it a little while longer, but shit, I just got off of Canva. And
wow, this is really good.
I'm just like Sean. And it's like, so this is horrible, right?
Yeah.
This is an actual problem, right? And I think this is why so many of these people chirp about it, right? And this even goes within the agency. Like they see designers in larger agencies or organizations when they're coming in and seeing designers, do their thing on their computers. Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah, they're just pushing buttons, they're pushing pixels. Now I've got an app that can do it. So they don't realize that there's more to this than just the high level being a pixel pusher, right? Because again, because of all these tools, because of people's, perception of what designers are doing, I do think that it's, people are confusing what designers do, and they're, confusing expertise with execution.
Right.
Okay. And so because of that, design has lost its way, or at least its meaning. And it's not meaning, it doesn't mean the same thing as it used to mean, unfortunately, because now everybody is that much more accessible to it. Right. So again, what happens ultimately in the end is good designers, become, undervalued, right? They're not paid enough. People think that they're, overpriced. And, oftentimes they think that they overlook us. We had somebody that left us a great message the other day, and he said, he goes, 20 years ago, when I showed my portfolio, people would say, "Oh, your portfolio is too novice. We don't have a job for you. It's too green." 20 years later, he's like, "Oh, your portfolio is too good. We can't afford you. We don't have any work for your high-end expertise." So it's like,
well, what do you want?
There is a path, but the thing is, your worth as a designer, really lies in the value that the other people put
into it,
into design itself.
Right.
And if people are just stopping and thinking that design stops at, being a pixel pusher, making things look pretty, well, then that battle's pretty much lost.
Yeah.
Because how are you ever going to convince that person that there's more to what you do other than pushing pixels?
Pushing pixels, yeah.
But here's the gut punch. Okay. So when I say that everybody's a designer, but so few design, I'm not just talking about customers. I'm not just talking about, the customers that we always rag on, or even the people in the agency that are doing this to designers. I feel so many designers aren't actually designing. And I think that's
Here we go.
That's the scary part.
Okay.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
All right, designers, let's cut the bull. How many times have you had a killer website design only to watch it fall apart because of code or developer telling you no? Or maybe you've held back from web design altogether thinking it's just too complicated and too technical or totally out of your wheelhouse. Either way, it's time for a change. Wix Studio is designed for designers, removing the barriers that limits your designs. Whether you're tired of developers watering down your ideas or too intimidated by the technical side of web, Wix Studio puts the creative power back in your hands. No code required. With a drag and drop interface that feels designer intuitive, plus no code animations and even AI powered tools, you can create fully custom websites that match your vision. Every pixel, every detail. And if you're worried about the learning curve, don't be. Wix Studio is designed to feel as intuitive as your favorite design tools. Some designers here even say more so. That means you can jump right in and focus on what you do best. Designing badass, brand-aligned websites that'll take your business to the next level. So whether you've had enough of developers holding you back, or you're ready to finally step into web design, check out wixstudio.com and take control. That's wixstudio.com. Go and take back web design for graphic designers.
Most designers, most designers have been in the same role for a long time. Okay. And when you're in that same role for a long time, you get comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. There's always an easy answer. And the easy answer is to just do what makes people happy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks cool, makes them happy, gets them paid, this, that, right?
Yep.
That's part of the problem. That's a huge part of this problem, right? Because again, just because, the designers are coming back, day after day, year after year, 5 years, 10 years, and they know the tools better than anybody else, that doesn't make them a designer.
No.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Right. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about, that, I think designers are just as much to blame in this mess as the customers and as the tools that are out there.
Yeah, you're right. I could totally see how somebody who would be, 20 plus years on the job You know,
Don't get comfortable, buddy.
And kind
the
of
door's
go on,
just feet away from your desk.
and kind of go on autopilot and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like, there's some times I think, yeah, you take that easy route. You know, without having to unpack your brain or anything like that. You just clean it up. But
making things look pretty isn't necessarily our job.
That's not exactly. You're absolutely you're absolutely right with that. And I think you and I are probably on the same page. You have taken this to a whole new level. But it's like the what the customer wants. You know, you want this piece, whatever it is, to work.
Yes.
The best possible way it can.
Yes.
Not just make it look good, because sometimes the customer doesn't even know what they want.
Well, fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
But
how many designers do you feel are trying to make our customer happy?
Yes. And there's that. Yes.
Right?
It's
and they're not actually pushing, thinking, listen, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
This is for your customer.
Right.
So just because you're like, oh, I know he's going to like it if I give it to him.
Right.
Well, if I could miss the mark altogether with the customers,
Mm-hmm.
maybe their sales have slumped and they're like, oh, I got a better design idea. Let's try this. This is hot. This is that. Nobody's ever thinking about that end user, their customer. And that's part of the problem, right? Again, if they're just taking orders, if designers are just taking orders to keep everybody happy, they're not designers.
No.
They're literally pixel pushers. They're not solving problems.
Right. But what if a client comes to you and says, I want 2 banner stands chock full of shit?
Well,
you remember?
This happens all the time.
Right?
Right.
These are the kind of thing. We did pare it down. You and I you storyboarded it or wireframed it out to make sure that it was, but it still had a fuck ton of stuff
more
in it.
More than usual.
More
right?
than you would want from a banner stand.
We managed to cut it down. Ultimately, you will hit a brick wall.
This is true. That's what I'm saying, is like sometimes the client looked at that and went, perfect. That's exactly.
Even though you did chop shit down.
Yeah, we took it down, but still it was so, like, we would never have done a banner stand with something like that.
No, exactly.
So sometimes the client just kind of has to trump you a little bit.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to kind of the advice I gave to that girl earlier on is it's okay to have your opinion. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's your job to make your opinion heard.
Yes.
Because this way you're covering your ass.
That's right.
In the process.
Which is exactly what you did. Yes.
Yeah. But we don't ever want to come across as being difficult to work with.
Right.
And that is the key that designers have to realize.
Yeah.
Our job, of course, ultimately, the client pays the bill in the end of the day.
Yes.
Ultimately, it is their decision. And we can only push so far.
Right.
If you make your opinion heard, you let them know that, listen, this is the right answer. This is why. Mm-hmm. Give them the reasons. Okay. If they still don't want to go for it, you can't huff and puff.
Right.
You have to then be like, okay, I told you, I made my claim, I made my stance, but now I'm going to give you what you're asking for, because
there it is.
For whatever reason, they're not budging.
Right. So say a designer goes in and just takes the original version of that banner stand and puts even more crap, not thinning it out, and just does what the client wanted. Then it doesn't work. Then the client gets mad because it's like, well, this didn't work. So
exactly,
you're
this looked
not
like hell.
Yes,
people walked by our banner all day long. Right.
But this way, you can say, look, we gave you a solution that would work. So at least you've done the legwork.
If you do that and just always, pander to whatever request that they ask, right? You are basically commoditizing your job. And designers, that's what we're guilty of, right? Because too many designers they take the easy way out and they treat this like it's production.
Right.
And it's much easy, non-confrontational, right? Give it to them. They're happy. Isn't that what it's about? It's about making the customer happy.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's about making their customer happy,
which
then in turn makes your customer ecstatic, which makes you the expert.
That's right.
And that's what they're going to keep coming back for you for, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I mean, not all is lost. I mean, there still is there's a difference between real designers and fake designers, right? Mm-hmm. And again, this is the part that we need to slowly start making people realize is part of our job, right? Because real designers, I'm sorry, there's a component of making things look good, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're there to try to solve a problem.
That's it.
Just like that site this morning.
Yeah.
Both looked good. Both pages looked good.
Yeah.
Neither one really
got the
solved-
message across.
It didn't. It
Yeah.
didn't solve the problem that the customer had. And they're thinking, okay, well, here we'll change the font. We'll change the image. This looks better.
Yep,
Sure,
yep,
it looks different.
Yep.
But
But
you're not
that's-
attacking it differently, right? So that's why ultimately, I felt bad for how I approached it, but it was in the heat of the moment, and I had to jump. I had to pounce on that one, right? But again, it's like, real designers need to start asking, more whys.
Yes.
Why are we doing this?
Right.
Not how do you want this done?
Yes.
But why are we doing this?
Yes.
Because that why will dictate how you're going to do this afterwards, right?
Right.
Because again, customers, they don't necessarily think of their audience. They think of themselves. They think of the here and now. It's up to us to think of the bigger outcome that we're trying to create, right?
Yeah.
So again, we need to stop making customers happy for the sake of making them happy and getting that paycheck. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And again, ultimately, it turns out with that webpage, they wanted, in essence, they wanted both. In the short term, they wanted the quick, easy solution because there's only 2 days to go.
Okay.
But they wanted the animated part. They wanted the click through. Because they realized that's the bigger picture. We don't have the time to do it this week.
Right.
But in 3 or 4 extra days, we can do it, and we'll do it for next week. So it did make a difference in that case, right?
That's awesome. See, and there's a customer who was flexible and is willing to put something in the meantime, while knowing full well that they're going to be getting something else, the correct version, to let it rip.
Yeah.
If you will.
Well, and you have to.
You have
in
to,
that case, right?
Instead of not doing anything altogether.
In a situation, it's funny because in situations like this, it's, I've been doing a lot of like soul searching lately.
Ooh.
Not gonna lie.
Wow.
And my hands-on design pixel pushing has really gone downhill quite a bit lately.
Oh.
We hang out, and talk to people, Alan Peters, James Bernard, and, like Scott Fuller. Like these guys are fantastic at what they do. And I'm a little jealous, but I'm not doing it hands-on anymore, right? Even you are far better designer than me now. 100%.
No way.
I
no.
fully believe, because you've been in it and doing it on a regular basis, right? So, my skills have slipped. There's no question they've slipped, okay?
I don't think so.
The thing is, I like what happened this morning. They've slipped in one sense, but they've also elevated in another.
Right.
Okay. And maybe this is why I'm not fearful of AI generating better looking images than I could do.
Exactly.
Because the value that I bring now to customers
Yes.
isn't necessarily making things look good.
Right.
It's definitely the art direction.
Yes.
To help people like this to, improve, whatever it is they're creating.
Yes.
To solve those problems, to dig deeper and help customers strategize. That's kind of like, dude, like that.
Yeah.
That's what I've always wanted. So granted, I may not be pixel pushing anymore and making things look pretty. I can give you recommendations. We can dig through things. I can take them apart a lot more.
Yep.
So I think I'm okay in the sense of I'm comfortable with the fact that I feel I've evolved now to that next level. I'm not saying I'm a superhuman by any means.
No. You are.
But thanks. But I understand that evolution, that, the jump I made.
Right.
And, what it does. And people aren't necessarily coming to me being like, hey, I need to make this look pretty. Can you help? They're like, hey, we have a problem. What do you think we should do? Or this ad isn't performing. What do you think we should? And they're coming to me for that extra level of thinking.
Why? It looks great. It looks great. I can't understand why. That's the stuff. That's the kind of shit. And see, and back to going off on a tangent here, back to the designer, the complacent designer. I think if you're not expanding what you're doing here, we're always learning.
Yep.
Like this is a great job for being able to keep learning every day. Every day. I can learn something new, which is good. But if you're just sitting here going,
yeah, all right.
Do you know what I mean? And not pushing that, which is, I think, is what you did. Yeah, you're not doing the pixel pushing anymore, but you've gone on to that next level.
I think this is the opportunity all designers
should be doing. Yeah,
right?
It's
they
there.
Should be, right?
It's there for us. There's no shortage of places on the internet that you can't find this stuff.
Well, and exactly.
Angry Designer is the best place to find it.
Angry Designer is the best place for this kind of stuff. But it's true, right?
Yeah,
I think all designers need to start understanding that, AI is only going to replace you if you are a commodity designer.
That's
if
right.
you are doing what you're told,
Right.
then obviously somebody can come in and take your job, or tech can take your job, or someone can come in and just tell you what to do, because you're a commodity at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We need to learn how to ask better questions, okay? Which I can't stop doing, unfortunately. It's just like a curse, okay? And but this way, we're trying to ask these questions though, so we can actually understand the problem, not to just try to get quicker answers.
Yeah, or to fill the time or whatever.
Yeah. And that's not it. No, let's figure this shit out, right?
Yeah.
And then this way, you can use AI not to help protect you, create the images so you can create images faster like everybody else is doing, but to actually superpower you, right? And to be your strategic partner, right? To be that extra, mindset that you, or to be that extra, I don't know, how do you want to put it? To help you go through the design thinking process, okay, in trying to figure out what is wrong with the customer's business, their problem, their marketing, their brand, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
These are the things we need to do. We need to have designers not just deliver results to the customer, because then they're just executing, but include them in the process, show the process, okay? Actually show them why you're doing what you're doing, educate the customers, okay? Because again, all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, I never thought about that, right? As opposed to, no, just make it blue. I like blue. We want to basically switch what we do from a maker, okay, to that educator, to that expert, to that partner for the customer. And that's what designers today need to try to elevate themselves to and evolve to.
That's right. That's the differentiator between, the pixel pusher that's going to be obsolete.
Absolutely.
Right? And that it's the strategic thinking is going to be the way to go.
And it doesn't mean that we're not going to design.
No.
Doesn't mean we're not going to pixel push, if you want to call that.
That's the thing. That is like the banner stands that we talked about. There is going to be some of that where the client is dead set on something.
There always will be, right?
There always will be.
Well, not even that, but that component of the job is never going to change, even if the tools do, right? Ultimately, as a designer, we're still going to be responsible probably for making things look good.
Yes,
not
we
just,
will.
But also work good.
It's not just the look good.
Yes,
it's the work good.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
It's sucking at the best English, but it's true, right? How about this?
Me work good.
Don't just design what looks good. Design for what works.
Oh, okay? There it is.
So there you go. That's a little bit of Steve Jobism there. Okay. We need to basically make designers learn strategy. Learn branding, learn how businesses work, right? We need to stack our skills. Right. And literally become that partner that's not just great at executing, but is incredible at ideation, at problem solving, at strategy. This is what designers need to evolve to. And and if I could do it, anybody can do it.
It is the elusive part of the business that I find the most fascinating now as I get older. I mean, how many times we've done all the pixel pushing and all this stuff, and it's great. I do like that, but there's something about, why. It's like we all like to take shit apart.
Right? I know, right?
This is what it is. It's like, okay, what's the psychology behind why this works?
And how's this going to work? What's it going to take to make things work in that sense?
Fascinating.
Absolutely.
That's a fascinating
And
thing.
I do think that, in this case, the future, this is how we will future-proof ourselves as designers.
Yes.
Okay. And then we don't have to worry about people coming down on us for doing our job, because now our job isn't just, being a commodity designer, pushing pixels, being doing what we're told. We are actually providing value to our boss, to our customers, to our customers.
Yes.
And that's what makes a designer an invaluable part of a company, a partner. Okay. And then AI won't be able to touch us. It won't touch us because we'll be using it.
Exactly.
So I feel that's what the future holds for designers. And this is how we all have to evolve. So then, again, this way. So then, everybody thinks they're a designer. You can actually be one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A real one.
Absolutely. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, you know where to find us. Hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this, and drop us a line on our website. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, Anger Management for Designers.
Oh, yes.
My name is Massimo.
My name is Sean.
Stay creative.
And stay angry.